What's going on, everybody? It's Nate, your vintage roller, and I'm here today with some gear talk. And today's gear talk is how to protect your rump so your rump doesn't get roasted. Now, in the world of action sports, one of the hardest things that you can do is protect yourself, whether it's learning how to fall, learning how to save yourself, or wearing pads. And today, we're going to go ahead and talk about pads. I got two sets of pads here that I want to talk about and give you key points and key features, plus a couple of things that I find could be better on both. So, before I get into the companies that I'm going to be dealing with today, I want to let you guys know I am not paid, sponsored, or supported by any of these individuals or companies. This is all out of the kindness of my heart, and I want to let you guys know that there are things out there to help you stay safe and skate longer. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the 888 BumSavers. 888 has been around for a very long time, based out of New York City. That's why it's 888 NYC. If you go onto the website, the BumSavers are a fantastic pad simply because they give you 4 pads of protection down the thigh that actually wraps around and gives you full protection on your thigh. They have a tailbone section here, as well as a pad right here to protect your butt and the back side of your thigh, which is a fantastic feature. Overall, in the course of 3 years while skating these pads, I have discovered that they are very flexible. They offer minimal bulk. You can wear them under your pants, whether they're jeans, sweatpants, what have you. You wear them with your snowboarding equipment or your ski equipment and protect yourself on the slopes. You can protect yourself on the streets, whether you're skateboarding or rollerblading, using 888. But I have discovered that there are a couple of flaws with these pads. One, the pads do not absorb shock very well. While they do give you a minimum amount of protection and keeping you safe and minimizing some of the damage that's done through shock of falling and impact, they could do a little bit better with the pads by making them a little bit thicker or a little bit more rigid. The pads themselves are very flexible and very pliable, which is part of the reason why I'm glad that I've changed over to a different pad set, because utilizing the 888s, I bruised my tailbone to the point I had a very large hematoma. It took about 3 months for my tailbone to properly heal, and even then, after 3 months, I still had a little bit of pain depending on where I was sitting, how I was sitting, and it's all because the tailbone pad was very thin. It's not very supportive, and while it did protect me a little bit, it still let me down in the long run. Overall, the pads themselves are very comfortable. It's a mesh material, pretty durable for being mesh. They do suffer a lot of the things that mesh material does. The friction on them does cause them to fray a little bit, as you can see here, rubbing on the seams of your pants or what have you. But that's 3 years in a set of pads almost. Now, this is my 3rd set of pads with these, and that's for a couple of different reasons. And I want to shout out 888 for their customer support and their customer service, because the first set of pads that I had with these, I wore them 3 times and they ripped. When I reached out to 888 and let them know the situation, let them know what happened, they responded very fast and sent me out a new set of pads without any questions asked, and I was able to get back to rolling. The other reason I have a 3rd set is because I had lost so much weight that I had to downsize my pad size, and that's the whole reason that I have had 3 sets of these pads. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, the 888 BumSavers are great if you're doing minimal things. If you're just out cruising and you want to protect yourself, if you're hill bombing or something like that, you're not jumping on handrails or ledges, they're going to give you protection from minor falls. Not so much so if you're skating handrails or ledges or doing large gaps and stuff like that and you fall and slip out. They will protect you a little bit, take some of the impact and reduce the blow, but you'll still end up potentially with bruises. So overall, when it comes to protection in the 888s, I give them a 7, simply because the way the pad is, the way it wraps around your leg, and how comfortable they are. I give these a solid 7 on the protection and comfort scale. They could do a few more things to make them better. They are machine washable with removable pads. So the pads here, you reach into the hole here that's seen and you pull the pad out. Putting them back in gets to be a little bit of a challenge, but you can get it done. It takes about 20 minutes to remove pads or install the pads on these. So shout out 888 for making a great product that can be used whether you're a beginner, whether you're an expert or a pro, or if you're just looking for a little bit of protection to keep yourself somewhat safe. 888's a great product. would never naysay them in any way, shape, or form. They've done a lot for the industries out there, and I respect them immensely. Next up, we're going to talk about Shredware. Shredware is a new brand on the market owned by Phil Gripper, professional rollerblader, and an all-around great guy. I reached out to Phil when I was looking for new pads, something to protect myself a little bit better, give myself a little bit more protection from falls. So I reached out to Shredware and got a set of these. I can also say that Shredware's customer support is fantastic as well, because the first set that I bought, the actual pants themselves were a little too large for me. So we were able to work out an exchange to where I got the proper size pants to go with my pads, and I got rolling. So let's get into talking about these. Shredware is a minimalistic type of pad. There are 3 pads for these. You've got your hips, tailbone, and that's it. So you got your right hip, your left hip, and your tailbone. Now, while they do not offer the same amount of pads and protection as the 888 do, these pads are hands down better than the 888 pads. And the reason why I say that is because these pads will actually absorb shock and fit much better. So let's talk about the pad. The pad itself is the same material that the NFL and NCAA use to protect their players. This pad right here is just over a ½ an inch thick. It's pliable, but it absorbs shock so much better than the soft foam pads in the 888s. Overall, I've taken falls on these on rails, ledges, and they've actually done much better than 888 does, because the way the pad is, it actually absorbs the shock and has a better rebound. So that's a good thing. The one thing that took me a while to get used to was because it did not have the pad between the tailbone and the hip. I had to learn how to rotate more onto my hip or rotate more onto my tailbone to protect myself instead of getting bruises down the backside of my thigh. But when Phil designed these, he designed them to be minimalistic, because you don't want to roll up to a session and have to take your pants off to put pads on. You don't want to have to worry about taking your pants off at the end of a session to take your pads off. So Phil came up with this right here. And as you saw how easy I just put that in, that's as easy as they come out and go in. You literally slide them in, you slide them out. Super simple, super easy. These are also machine washable as well, so you don't get that funk around your butt, because nobody wants to deal with funk around your butt. So after you wash them, you can wash the pads together, you can wash the pads separate with pants, or just leave it all together and throw it in the washer, because that's kind of awesome. They are shorter than the 888s. They're a little bit longer than your standard boxer shorts are. And that's designed to keep them as minimalistic as possible, so you can wear them under skinny jeans or yoga pants or something like that and keep yourself protected. So it makes it a lot easier to take care of yourself and protect yourself, because you can show up to a spot, unbuckle your pants, pull your pads out, and slide them in. Where if you show up to a spot and you got to put these on, you got to take your pants off. And it's just not something anybody wants to do. So shout out with Phil for making these as modular as they are and developing them to protect us. Overall, I give Shredware an 8.5 on protection and comfort, because the pads do absorb impact way better than the 888s do. And they're just as comfortable as a 888, so that works out very well for me, because when it comes to skating and everything else like that, you want to make sure you're comfortable, you want to make sure you can take care of yourself, but you don't want to lose any mobility. A couple other key features that I want to talk about between the two of them. While the 888s are longer, and they did provide a little bit of protection around the knee for me, so I didn't have to wear knee pads, because the way the bottom pad is, it actually wrapped around the top of my knee and a little bit of the back of my knee, which is where I usually fell and busted my knee. These were there to protect me, and that's one major feature with these that I liked, is that they were longer, and I did get to skate without having knee pads on, which was nice because it wasn't too bulky and I didn't lose any mobility. But with Shredware, I was able to start wearing my knee pads again, because I do have the 888 exoskin knee pads, which are super light, super flexible, and they move nicely. Because these aren't super long and they don't add any bulk around the knee area, I was able to go back to wearing knee pads and protect myself a little bit better. So there was a trade-off. A little bit of hip protection, some butt protection to get my knees protected. I was okay with that trade-off. So overall, Shredware here, give it a solid 8.5 on protection and comfort and durability. I've been skating them for 6 months now. Very minimal wear from friction or anything else like that, slides, falls, any of that stuff that you would get when you're rubbing jeans against soft material like this. So Phil did a great job creating these. Also, shout out to Phil for launching his shin guards. It's literally just a set of pair of tall socks with the same type of foam that goes in right over top of your shin to protect you from impacts and falls. So check them out. Check AAA out if you're looking for something in that category. The AAA pads are $79.99 when I bought them in 2019. I was able to get them on Amazon, but you can also find them at other retailers online or even in some shops. Shredware here is $65 at shredware.net, and you can reach out to Phil. Both companies have outstanding customer service. Both companies are doing a lot to support the industry and support every action sport. So take your time, look into the pads that you want to try, and give them a run, because you're not going to know what's going to work for you until you try them out. But I hope that the information that I gave you today is enough to point you in a direction and get you something to keep you protected so your rump doesn't get roasted. And as always, y'all, like, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you know when I drop new content. And just skate when you can. I know it's hard sometimes. I know everything's changed since COVID's happened and getting out kind of concerns people. But you know what? The best thing you can do is get out and be part of your community. So get out and be part of any community that you're a part of. Support the industries that you love. Support rollerblading if you're a rollerblader. And take care, y'all. Skate how you can and just do it for love. All right? I hope you guys have a great time. I hope you have fun when you skate. And as always, peace, love, and rollerblades. I'm out.